June 12, 2025. Just hearing the date sends chills down the spine. It has now been etched into India's history as one of the darkest days in modern aviation, a day that cannot be forgotten, and perhaps never forgiven. Air India flight AI117, a Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner, took off from Ahmedabad, bound for London. But moments after takeoff, it was engulfed in smoke, fire, and screams. Out of 241 people on board, 240 lost their lives. Only one survived, 27-year-old Vishwas Kumar Ramesh. This is not just a story about numbers. It's about lives, dreams, families, voices that were silenced in an instant. This is the haunting story of a catastrophe that left an entire nation shaken. The final takeoff. It was a scorching summer day in Ahmedabad. The airport was bustling with activity. At Gate 17, the queue for AI117 stretched long. Some passengers were excited, some buried in their phones, others simply hopeful to return home. Among them was Vishwas, a data engineer living in London, returning after visiting his parents in India. His seat, 11A, by the window. Just before boarding, he made a quick call to his mother. "I'll call again after takeoff," he said. "Take care, Beta," she replied. At exactly 13:38, the aircraft began takeoff from runway 23. The first 20 seconds seemed routine, but the flight data recorder tells a different story. Just 3 seconds into the takeoff roll, Engine 2 showed signs of thrust imbalance. 6 seconds later, a fire warning lit up in the cockpit. Captain Sanjeev Mehta called out. The cockpit was filled with alarms of engine failure. The aircraft barely climbed to 625 feet before banking sharply to the right. The controls had failed. In just 14 seconds, the plane slammed into the BJ Medical College hostel building. The blast shattered windows of nearby buildings and sent shockwaves through the city. Inferno in the sky. Most passengers died on impact or were consumed by the fire, but Vishwas, strapped into seat 11A, was conscious. "I opened my eyes to fire. Everywhere. Smoke, flames, screams. I was surrounded," he recalls. The seats in front and behind him were already charred. Gripped by panic but fueled by instinct, Vishwas crawled over debris and wreckage toward what he believed was an exit. His legs were burning, but he didn't stop. Somehow, he found a broken opening in the wall of the collapsed building and escaped. He collapsed outside. The next time he opened his eyes, Army personnel were lifting him onto a stretcher. The rescue effort. It took 17 fire engines over an hour to control the blaze. The Army, NDRF, and local police worked together to recover 240 bodies from the wreckage. 3 medical students staying in the hostel were also killed. The hostel building was so severely damaged it had to be evacuated entirely. Due to the condition of the bodies, DNA identification was required, and samples were sent to specialized labs. Hundreds of grieving families gathered in Ahmedabad, hoping for any trace of their loved ones. A systemic failure? The black box data was staggering. Before takeoff, a ground engineer had flagged a minor vibration in Engine 2, but it was marked non-critical and clearance was granted. Now, both the technician and the supervising inspector have been suspended. Investigations have begun by the DGCA, FAA, and NTSB. Boeing's CEO has issued a public apology. Questions echo across the globe. Could this crash have been prevented? Were there warning signs the pilots missed? Is there a deeper, perhaps systemic flaw in the Dreamliner series? These are not just technical questions. They are moral ones, because these 241 souls were not just passengers. They were mothers, fathers, children, spouses, friends. Accountability must follow. The lone survivor. Vishwas suffered third-degree burns on 27% of his body. After weeks in the ICU, he regained consciousness, but the emotional scars run deeper. The Tata Group, which owns Air India, announced Rs 1 crore, $120,000 approx, as compensation. The Indian Prime Minister also launched a long-term mental health support plan for survivors and affected families.